Everyone's afraid of the dentist, but I think that 9 out of 10 dentists are afraid of the videos on this list. Number 10. Lake Ness Monster. You've heard of the Loch Ness Monster, but did you know the Great Lakes are also home to an unholy horror? This video, taken in South Haven, Michigan, captures the Lake Ness Monster and all its snaky misery. The serpentine creature can be seen here being propelled off the south pier of Lake Michigan by a powerful gale of 40-mile-per-hour winds in June of 2019. The footage reveals an enormous slithering black object being pulled through the teeth of the South Pier. Next to the South Haven Lighthouse, there has long been folklore surrounding monsters in the Great Lakes region, the most famous of which is said to reside in the waters of Lake Erie. While Scotland's infamous legend of Nessie reaches back over 1,000 years, the first sighting of its American sister Bessie is little over 2 centuries old. She was first spotted in 1817, was said to be grayish in color and up to 40 feet long and around a foot in diameter. Could this be her? Did Lake Erie's Bessie migrate over to Lake Michigan? 9 out of 10 dentists might say yes. Number 9. Helpmecker Ghost. Even ghosts are trying to go to college. Published to YouTube by Philip Potgieter in March of 2016, this freaky school video was captured at Helpmecker College in Johannesburg, South Africa. The footage shows a phantom figure gliding down the hallway at around 11 at night. It edges towards a wall and merges into what we can assume is a classroom to the right. The figure disappears without further explanation. Is this ghost just heading to its next night class, or does it need help from Helpmecker to cross into the beyond? Number 8. Piranha Scissors. If you ever find yourself swimming with the fishes, you'd better hope they're not piranhas. The bite force of a black piranha is incredibly powerful. It's 3 times as strong as an American alligator and 30 times stronger than its own weight. Point being, no dentist would want to work on these chompers. This video shows just how effective a piranha bite can be. Published in May of 2011, this bite test was administered in Ecuador, holding a piranha in one hand and a stick in the other. The man brings the stick near the piranha's mouth and the fish easily and instantly snips like a pair of scissors. There's no question about it. If given a chance, this seemingly innocent fish will take more than a bite out of you. It may take a limb. Number 7. Into the Vortex. Want to find out what it's like inside your washing machine? An underwater vortex may just do the trick. Published to YouTube by Michael H. in June of 2013 and shot in May of the same year. This footage demonstrates the chaos of an underwater vortex. Michael explains that while scuba diving in Sirocco, the divers swam straight into the vortex, not realizing what it was. He writes, 3 divers were caught in its current forces, one for several minutes. All made it out and we all learned what a vortex looks like. Let's learn too. The scuba shots underwater at first look serene, calm, but soon the divers are spinning. They appear panicked as the water becomes more tumultuous and bubbly. What looks like a tornado underwater takes hold of them, and it will not let go. An underwater vortex is a lasso of bubbles that swirls and spins and can become turbulent depending on the climate and surroundings. Luckily for these divers, this vortex eventually slowed enough so that they could escape. Some pufferfish may not be so lucky. Number 6. Bagged teeth. A bag of teeth discovered in a kitchen cupboard? You don't have to be a dentist for this to be your worst nightmare. Published to YouTube in April of 2020 by I Am Shook. A husband and wife found a baggie of around 20 teeth in a kitchen cupboard at their home in China, which sent them down a nightmare rabbit hole. The wife found them while cleaning and discovered her husband had put them there, assuming they were preservatives. Jumping to the macabre, the woman suggested that someone might have taken them from a lifeless body, but the truth turned out to be a bit less horrifying, even if still entirely creepy. When the mysterious bag was examined by a dentist, he confirmed that they were human teeth, to be more specific baby teeth, all from the same person. Judging by the shape of the pair of molars, he suggested that they were probably corrected to record the child's growth, although that might seem more reassuring. then the teeth of someone who had passed away. The couple doesn't have children, nor have they had visitors here, so the mystery of where these teeth came from remained. The only theories they could come up with was that the bag of baby teeth somehow had gotten mixed up in a bag of roasted seaweed that the husband had been unpacking and organizing in the cupboard, or that they'd been accidentally taken home during a recent dentist visit. However, the most likely theory was that the baggie of teeth may have been left behind by a previous tenant, and this was in fact exactly what happened. Although the baby teeth mystery may be solved, what remains is still creepy: a baggie full of teeth. Number 5. Giant Pyrosome. Did you know that man has explored more of Mars and the moon than we've explored the depths of our own oceans? Which leads us to some of the strangest oddities on Earth, including this one, the Giant Pyrosome, looking like a large transparent tube slide. A giant pyrosome is comprised of thousands of identical clones of zooids that form an up to 60-foot hollow cylinder that can be wide enough for a grown man to fit inside. The free-floating tube appears like a ghostly discarded piece of see-through fabric known as sea pickles. Giant pyrosomes are bioluminescent, which means you can see them glowing blue-green in the sea at night. Published to YouTube by Ross Overstreet in June of 2018. And supplemented by footage from Luis Bringas in December of 2014, this giant pyrosome off the southern coast of San Clemente Island will send you off the deep end. These videos show the creature in action, or rather in action as it floats unobtrusively near the seafloor. What would you do if you crossed paths with this oceanic nightmare? Would you be brave enough to swim through? And more importantly, would you make it to the other side? Number 4. Poltergeist lost footage. If you knowingly lived in a haunted house, would you stay? Donnie Drunkard did. Published to YouTube in December of 2020, this paranormal activity will run you out of Donnie Drunkard's home. Donnie writes, after trying to recover footage that I thought was lost, I found these clips from last year documenting the earliest days of paranormal and poltergeist activity manifesting in my haunted house. The footage first shows Donnie playing with his dog Terry, but later that night Donnie notes that the atmosphere changed and that they heard voices and sounds coming from upstairs. Terrifying clinking and clanking bursts through the darkness. Terry is growling as Donnie grabs for his Bible and starts to pray.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
As Terry tries to escape under a table for comfort.
Terry, come here. Terry. Come on. Come on, Terry. We gotta go.
Donnie gathers him up to flee this mayhem for a time. As they head out for a drive, in the background, an overhead light is swinging back and forth. While they are away, a closet door near where the sound originated opens slowly. Nothing exits. YouTuber Brenda Luke writes, that hallway, it's not just darkness, it's advanced darkness. I'd be leaving that haunted house immediately. Number 3. Russian poltergeists. A Russian YouTuber plays Russian roulette with poltergeists in this paranormal footage. Published to YouTube by Dark Ghost in March of 2021. This poltergeist activity was captured by cameras installed in the haunted home, as well as cameras operated by the ghost hunter who was brave enough to enter. The first instance of paranormal activity comes when a camera that he installed in one room captures a cupboard being moved on its own. It scrapes across the floor and comes to a halt in the middle of the room. And after hearing the noise, the ghost hunter enters to see for himself. The room appears empty, but he soon realizes it's not. An entire wardrobe nearly falls directly on him. There is no space behind the wardrobe for someone to have stood and pushed it over. So what caused this heavy furniture to fall? In a state of shock, having barely escaped with his life, the ghost hunter sets up his spirit box to talk with the spirit. It asks him clear as day who he is and why he's here. The spirit tells him that it is dangerous. When he asks what is, she says his occupation. The spirit tells him that the souls of the passed away have heard him. She also notes that they're not all good ones. After a while, she refuses to answer any more questions. When the ghost hunter returns to the room where the cupboard moved and the wardrobe nearly took his life, everything has returned to its place. As he settles in for the night, somehow catching some shut-eye while stretched out on wooden chairs, a spot of light bursts above him, and he springs to his feet. He said that at that point he felt a bitter cold. Once you've nearly had your life taken and feel the temperature drop, it's probably time to pack it in and call it a night. Number 2. Underwater steam train wreck. The silence and foggy stillness underwater are spooky enough, but encountering a ghostly wreck 20,000 leagues under the sea will put you in another world. Published to YouTube by Tim Powell in February of 2010, this footage captures the aftermath of the SS Thistlegorm in the Red Sea. The British armed merchant ship was powered by a triple expansion steam engine and built in 1940. A year later, in October of 1941, Germans sunk the SS Thistlegorm near Egypt. The ship was headed to Alexandria on its fourth and what would be its final voyage. The ship sailed south around Cape Town, South Africa. Due to the German and Italian occupation of the Mediterranean, an accident in the Suez Canal caused the cargo to be held up and moored at safe anchorage F for about a month, which turned out to be not so safe, since there is where it was sunk. Guided by local fisherman Jacques Cousteau, rediscovered the wreckage years later, recording his findings in his book The Living Sea. Ever since, the shipwreck, which lies about 100 feet below the surface at its deepest, has been a hotspot for recreational divers, mainly due to its treasure trove of cargo. After all, it's a steam train that's been waterlogged for upwards of 80 years. This footage is a window into its underwater world that fish, seaweed, barnacles, and coral reefs have now overtaken. I've got a challenge for you. Since you've made it this far, why not like this video and hit subscribe in the next 5 seconds? Because I upload 4 new scary videos every week. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. Number 1. Abandoned barnyard. Alex and his team say at the beginning of their video that this barnyard is abandoned. Published to YouTube by the Haunted Life Paranormal Investigations in August of 2019, Alex ventures into a barnyard turned restaurant in the middle of nowhere. It's been left like this for over a decade. The paranormal investigators are here to encounter the haunted activity that's said to be present, and they're about to face it head on. In the office, they use the spirit box to see just who they may be dealing with in this haunted place. After not receiving much communication, the ghost hunters take a turn around the building. After a while, the spirits start making some noises, bangs, knocks, but it's at 16 minutes in that the real action occurs. In the background to the right, as Alex continues to try and convince the spirits to communicate with him using electronic devices, a shadow figure crosses into the room beyond. It can be distinctively seen in the archway window moving past. Is this building abandoned or haunted by shadows? If so, to whom do the shadows belong? Yet another video that will have you double checking all locks on doors and windows tonight, posted in June of 2014. The footage shows various shots of the individual sneaking around the property, both outside and inside.